So let's see together the real power of Photoshop. Now, in this video, we are going to see how to re-render an object in the scene without going back to your 3D software, which is amazing because you can save tons of times, okay? Now, what to do? What I want to do is I want to re-render this wood facade we have here, because maybe, I don't know, maybe we want to change the color of it, maybe we want to change the hue or the saturation, or I don't know, you want to have more reflection, or anyway, you want to change the lighting. In this case, I just want to change the color of it, but keep in mind that if you change the diffuse color of an object, the reflection color should stay the same. Let me explain. If this wood is brown and we have some reflection from the sun, the color of the reflection should stay the same, and only the color behind the reflection should change. So if you just apply a hue saturation to change the hue of this wood material, it's not enough. It's not going to give you a nice and realistic result. So what to do? We need to rebuild from scratch the whole material, the whole shader, okay? And to do so, as you may know from the 3-step workflow, first of all, we need to find the right main folder and create a subfolder, step 1. So this is part of the render, so the right main folder is adjustment. So I make a new subfolder into adjustment. I call it wood facade, and I look for the right mask. So I need to go inside masks, and here we are, the blue one. So I control click on the blue channel thumbnail to get the selection. Back in the layers, hide the mask group, and I can apply this selection as a mask on the wood facade group. Okay, so first step done. Now what to do? First and second step done, actually. The third step is, let's do something inside here, okay? And what we need to do is we need to go inside passes, because we need at least 3 different passes. We need the diffuse, so the pass with the textures inside. We need the raw total lighting, which is the V-Ray name of that pass, which is the pass with all the lighting inside, but no texture. In Corona, it's called a raw component diffuse, if you ask. And then we need the raw reflection pass, so the pass with all the reflections inside, 100% strong, okay? So what to do here, we can go in the passes, and we need to search for the right passes. So this is the diffuse. I click Ctrl J to make a copy of it, and I bring it up. I bring it with me. And then we need the raw total lighting. So I make another copy, Ctrl J again. And so now we have these two. And the raw total lighting goes on the top of the diffuse, just in case. And then we need the raw reflection. I mean, you can use the raw reflection. You can use the reflection, which is basically the actual reflection of the scene. I mean, you can test this stuff out. And I mean, if you use the raw reflection, you will need to mask this manually or with the normal pass you're going to see in the future. I mean, I'm going to use the raw reflection because I have more, I would say, room to play with, okay? So I make a copy of the raw reflection, and now I have this new copy, and I have the 3 layers I need, and I just drag them inside the right folder, which is the one with the wood facade name. Here we go, okay? So now we can go back on passes and hide them. And here we go. So now we have the raw reflection, the raw total lighting, which is the lighting, and diffuse, which are the textures. We keep the source color, so the diffuse pass as it is. We don't touch it. And then on top, we have the raw total lighting, or the raw component diffuse in Corona. And this has to go in multiply mode. And as you can see, basically it gives you all the shadows you need to restore the lighting on top of the diffuse, on top of the textures. And then you can go here and enable the reflection one, and you can put this in overlay. And by default, this will be too strong, because remember, the raw reflection is basically the 100% strong reflection pass. So what can we do? We can put a mask on this, and then because the reflections will be stronger when we look at objects on the side. For example, in this area, this should be more visible. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to select all the areas that I need to keep it a little bit less strong, like this area. I'm just pressing Shift to add areas to my selection, as you can see, something like that. And then I just I can just paint with a darker color here. I can just use the bucket, see, to get less reflection from those areas. And I like the result. If you don't like the result, remember that if you select the mask, you can also go down with the density to restore a little bit of reflection even on the front. But I'm pretty happy with the result. And now, as you can see, if I hide the entire group, we get something that, it's kind of similar, of course, is not the exact result we get from the render, because maybe the render was mixing these layers in a different way, slightly in a different way, but it's still okay. And the good thing is now we can go back on the source, on the diffuse, and for example, we can add a hue saturation. We can attach the hue saturation only on this layer, okay, pressing Alt, clicking in the middle here, and then look at this, we can change the hue, and so these now is going to be, I don't know, red, for example, or purple. Okay, we can increase the saturation, you see, and it's still, plausible, and it works because on top, then, this is going to act, the reflections are going to act in a different way, because, they are not changed by this hue saturation, okay? And so if you want to do something like more kind of, plausible and realistic, we can just go and modify slightly the initial, color. So I want it a little bit more saturated and probably a more kind of warm. So I'm just pushing the hue on the left to go on some kind of more orange look. But anyway, the cool thing is that we have control on what we get now without going back to the render engine, and that's amazing, okay? And remember that if you make a new layer here, okay, on the top of the diffuse, you can also take like a very dark color, maybe not black, but something like darker, like this, like gray, and you can paint some, I don't know, some dirt on top of this this diffuse, okay? Maybe you can change the blend mode. You can, I don't know, use multiply. You can go down with your opacity a little bit. But anyway, you can paint some dirt like this, or you can put some photos on top, and or even you can use the same rototal lighting, which is amazing because it works very well. You can use the same rototal lighting, you duplicate it, and this time instead of putting in multiply, you put in normal mode. And if you drag it under itself, okay, so you have the rototal lighting, which is a normal that acts as a diffuse, you can have something that looks like snow. And if you mask it, you can then paint black, or invert the mask and paint white only where you want the snow. And maybe this is too bright, okay, but trust me, it's perfect to simulate something like ice or snow on top of objects. And be careful with very bright colors, because even snow is the brightest shader you will ever see. But probably you can just go with the curve and make it a little bit darker to not get something completely overexposed, okay? And so this is a nice trick, because once you understand how to compose your final shader, then you can do wherever you want. Now, of course, I'm going to delete the snow because I don't want it.